Yeah, I keep getting these ads on Reddit and IG, and I guess I'm a superhero. Like, what would I be? Dr. Dysfunction? Dr. Dysfunction, with the power to not do what he needs to do despite being important or easy. Welcome back. The problem I had with my YouTube channel before was not having ideas but having the time. Now I have a lot of ideas but not much time. So if you're subbed to my gaming channel and Ghostin, please subscribe. Then you probably already noticed that it's been basically one video per channel, like per month. The posting on this channel will probably take a hit because I'm working on something cool for Ghost. But anyways, I was originally gonna rant about the misrepresentation of ADHD by predatory companies through ads like this. But I was like, that topic should be done justice and deserves a longer video. And I don't have time to do that at the moment, so I'll just talk about some haha memes from the subreddit r/ADHD memes.
Yay, Reddit video.
Don't you have a gaming video to edit?
Like and subscribe.
Literally me fucking every night. I do enough to be tired, and I know I can just fall asleep if I really want to. But I'm like, dude, I got time, especially like after work. I'm real tired, but I'm like, dude, I could play, I could go work on stuff, and then sometimes I kind of feel bad for not doing those things when I have the time. But then I need to remember that, I gotta rest or my body will deteriorate. But funny enough, another problem is getting out of bed. At least for me. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to get me to rest, but once I'm in rest mode, I'm in rest mode. See? Fucking right here. This person put, this is such a problem for me. For some reason, my brain has equated relaxation with some form of productivity. So taking a nap or going to sleep on time is so hard because I feel like I'm not taking advantage of those hours. I'll be so dead tired midday. I also smoke, which sometimes makes me tired. But instead of just napping, I have to go play a video game or something because that's a valuable use of my time. I have no idea how I got to this point, but it is pretty self-destructive, but most of my personality is self-destructive, so what's new? Holy shit, bro. I was literally just talking about this, and I swear, I promise you, I did not scroll down and look at that before I talked about what I just did. It is just such a fucking problem. But then it's not this, like, there's a lot of flavors of ADHD that not everyone who has ADHD, like, deals with or like suffers from as much as like other people like this. So this might be a problem that's pretty common, but there's people like this dude who's just like, not my fucking brain, that's for sure. And that's fucking good for them. Like, I think it's like the curse of productivity. Productivity. I think productivity sounds fancier because like I imagine like a British person saying, like productivity versus like, yeah, the productivity. Like, it's like documentary versus sales pitch. I fucking veered off again. Okay, next meme. The cycle of awful days and amazing days. When I was growing up, I thought this was like a normal thing. And I think I had seasonal depression from like middle school up to, I guess sometimes even now. And I didn't realize till later on in life that the seasonal depression I'd have in like high school and stuff, it would link to this. If I'm not like hyper focusing on something or I'm not working on a current interest, it feels like life has no meaning. And I think that's where things like video games and all that come into play, because it's like while you're waiting, looking, or like delaying the next thing you're supposed to be doing, you can at least get a dopamine hit from games, right? And I know I did that a lot. And honestly, it's fucking, like, looking back, it's kind of crazy how I made it through certain situations. I'd feel really bad seeing like other people create stuff or like watching creators I like, and I'm like, dude, why am I not creating? Usually it would inspire me, but then I'd feel bad. I'd guilt myself for not doing that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. My depression did not go away, but it really felt like it. Like when you're in the manic mode or hyperactivity, it's just like life is at 120%. Anything, like literally anything feels possible when you're in the hyperactive mode. And the opposite is true. Like nothing feels like it has meaning when you're in this part. Me trying to improve my life in little steps only to have my own body and brain sabotage me and force me to start from square one again. And then feeling guilty because I stopped doing things that were helping me be healthy and happy, even though I still want to do those things. And they're like, yes, this. It's the most frustrating part about ADHD for me. The trouble maintaining consistency for meds and self-care. Dude, that is a huge fucking problem. Being consistent, like with anything. That's the reason why a lot of people with ADHD are like, they're mostly like a jack of all trades. You can still find people with ADHD that are specialists and like they're really good at what they do and like they just stick to it. But more often than not, you're going to find people who have ADHD have like a shitload of interests and they pick up on things real fast, but being consistent is really hard, especially when it feels like, what's that graph, like that Dunning-Kruger thing? Like when you hit that peak in the beginning, where you're like ignorant and but optimistic, that feels like enough sometimes for you to be like, dude, I fucking mastered this. I'm fucking bored. And that's like when the consistency stops. At least for me. But I'm trying to move past that and I'm seeing some success, but it's a really big struggle for me to, I guess, acknowledge my accomplishments. Sometimes I feel like I downplay everything I've done just so I don't feel like complacent. Next meme. I have ADHD. I'm also Mormon, so I believe in heaven. I feel like when ADHD people get into heaven, it's turning a loud fan off that's been running for a while, and they're just kind of like, oh, so this is what it's like. About 2 to 3 years ago, something like that. During the pandemic, that's all I know. I finally got diagnosed with ADHD, and this is when I started taking medication for it. So the first thing they gave me was Adderall, and then I eventually switched to Adderall XR, and currently I'm on, what am I on? I'm on one. What am I on? Holy shit. Bupropion. So I never really thought about having ADHD or even having it like be possible that I had it until one of my good friends back home got diagnosed with it and they were taking meds for it. And then one day they're like, hey, you want to try one of these? Because like, I don't know why, but you just be distributing that shit. But for the most part, I feel like everyone he gave it to actually had undiagnosed ADHD, but that's just my guess. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. I was like, I gotta do some stuff at the house, whatever. So I took it and I was like, what am I supposed to be feeling? Like I was like reading descriptions on like what I think it was Vyvanse, what it was supposed to feel like if you're just taking it recreationally. It's supposed to be like some sort of euphoria and you're like fucking picking seeds off a strawberry or some shit. And I'm like, I don't feel this shit at all. I didn't even really know how to describe it until I got diagnosed and took my meds. But they're both kind of similar situations. So instead of experiencing what I read about,
when you give Adderall to somebody who doesn't require it and they do not have ADD, in those patients you will see almost like a cocaine-like effect.
Am I peaking? I ended up, oh my god, I'm peaking. Shit. Oh no, I have a fucking limiter. Check. Okay, anyways. Fuck, where was I? So when he gave me that and I took it, I was like, damn. When is it supposed to kick in? I was hungry. My mind was kind of quiet. I felt like numb, but in a good way. Like mentally numb. There's a bunch of other things that led up to it. I think talking to him and then also seeing more posts pop up on my social media feeds, it was like, damn, this kind of sounds like me. So I took a test online first to kind of get a little precursor to it. I hit a lot of the fucking like indicators for it. Let's just say if that shit was graded, I would have passed with flying colors. So that motivated me to go and schedule an appointment. So I got a referral from my doctor and then they sent me to a neurologist. And then I got diagnosed with it like day one. After that, I was given some Adderall and it was weird. It's exactly kind of like, this is a really good analogy for it because when you live with this, it's all you know. So you don't know what you don't know. Like you don't know what it's like to not have your brain be like that. So the first time that shit happened to me, I was like, is this what like normal people feel like? Because my mind finally stopped going like a million miles a minute. And it was easier to just hone in on like something I needed to do. It didn't fix everything for sure, but it made a lot of things easier. The problem with executive dysfunction, knowing things you gotta do and then things that are like easy to do, but you put them off anyways and do something else, that was like manageable. I remember I was crying Because I was kind of just like, when it hit me like that this is what my mind should have been like, and like I could have been doing a lot better in certain aspects in life, or a lot more aspects in life, and not have to deal with like depression so often. Yeah, I was like crying, bro. Not like hard crying, but I was just like tearing. I was like grieving from my past. I was like, damn, this whole time, you know? Okay, next meme. Why is this so accurate? ADHD is only motivated by 5 things. Oh wait, urgency, challenge, novelty and play, interest, being a contrarian little bitch. I've talked about urgency, but let's go down the list. So urgency, I already talked about that. Like I can get out of bed if there's like a deadline or I gotta go to work or something. Challenge, you know, things are only interesting if it's not like super easy. I'm pretty sure that's why there's such a big like ADHD community with shit like Dark Souls.
Come on, Daddy! Daddy just did it!
I started getting into the Soul series like in 2018, something like that. And I had a really stressful job as a video editor for like this corporation. I called it like a digital sweatshop. Yeah, I'd be working like more than 10 hours a day sometimes just to meet deadlines. And then I'd get home and I'm like, man, time to relax. And I turn on Dark Souls. And then after that went away, I'd be like, man, time to relax, turn on Siege. All the fucking games I'd be trying to relax with, they're stressful. Like, they're sweaty games. I don't know.
Your fucking scared me.
I got her, though. When you get diagnosed, you start making all these connections, and you're like, dude, this shit's starting to make sense. Like, why I like this, why I'm like this. Novelty and play. This feels like it kind of contrasts with the whole urgency thing. I feel like this relates back to like gaming. Now I'm just gonna take a wild fucking guess and say that probably like half the gaming community, maybe more, has ADHD. Yeah, and then interest is just like, obviously, I was mentioning earlier, like it's really common for people with ADHD to have multiple interests, and it's like if it's something that piques that interest, it's gonna be easier for them to do it. And the funniest part is how that relates to the challenge aspect. Because if it's like too challenging, where like the initial first steps are like hard, like high barrier of entry, then a lot of the time that's enough to just be like, all right, I'm good. But then it could also have the opposite effect where it's like, holy shit, this is hard. I gotta do this shit. Because then it actually like forces your brain to work, you know? And then this last one, being a contrarian little bitch. My life changed when I realized there's like a dopamine rush from arguing. And I saw like a bunch of posts about it too. Whenever someone says anything, especially if I know they're wrong, I'm like, no, that's not true. Nope. If I feel like someone isn't fit to be in a leading position, I just be questioning their decisions, especially like if it deserves to be questioned.
Alright guys, so we are overstaffed right now. We are offering leave to anyone that wants to take it. Well, that's cool. Yeah, so I just got word that we are now short-staffed because of everyone that took leave. But then why did you approve that many leaves?
I'm like, dude, it could be more efficient this way, blah blah blah. I've gotten into a lot of like problems with management because of that, or like people a bit higher than me. Like that video editing job, I had like a little bit of friction with the people training me. It was using a lot of After Effects, and before that I was very much a beginner in After Effects, even though I'd use it every now and then, but I mostly used like Premiere at the time. When they're teaching me stuff and I'm like, it's something I've done but in a different way, I'm like, oh, let's do it this way. Dude, they would get so irritated with me because I'm just not following like what they're saying. So it's just like it's that and arguing about the stupidest shit, bro. Like, yeah, this reminds me a lot of like when I was in high school and I'd be talking to my friends. Whenever like friends or family would say something about like some news or some shit they saw on Facebook, and what, you got that off Facebook? Like, fuck no, that's just not real, idiot. Like, that's the gist of it, you know? And I was like, that's probably why a lot of people were put off by me. But I mean, that's just one thing. That's probably a combo of things that like make it hard for me to be approachable or me to make friends. That's another topic. Also, just want to clarify, I can talk to people and connect really easily. It's just like, do I want to get to know you more? Because like, you know, if I don't like what I'm being shown, then I'm just like going to keep it at this level. Anyways, I'm sidetracked again. Okay, the contrarian thing I think is because we don't understand the reason for the rule or request, and because we don't understand the logic, we're resistant to it. Or it's because once we are asked to do something, it's no longer a dopamine source, but rather a task that has become a burden. Dude, honestly, true brother, facts. I noticed that's not just like an ADHD thing. I think that's like a neurodivergent thing. Because people I know who are like autistic, it's like no one wants to be told to do something, especially if they were already gonna do that thing. Like, it's just so fucking annoying. So back when I was still living with my parents, like if I'm about to go do the dishes, and they always be nagging me about the dishes because like I would do it convenient for me, like because I usually be working at home and I'm like I'll wash them at night because that's usually when I'm cooking dinner. But they want it like on their time, and I'm like, dude, I'm doing something. So when I'm going over to the kitchen and then they spot me before I reach the kitchen and they're like, oh, you didn't do the dishes, and I'm just like, motherfucker, I was literally on the way there. And now in my head, instead of being like, oh yeah, doing a good thing, fucking washing the dishes, it becomes, holy shit, bro, don't tell me what to do. I already fucking knew that shit. I'm gonna do it anyways, but goddamn, bro, like, me and my friends, we meme about that shit. Like, someone saying like, hey, hold on, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I would jump in and be like, hey, before we go, I think you should go to the bathroom real quick. And it just became like this subconscious thing. Like, we never explained the joke or talked about that or like why it's funny or anything. But I think we all just kind of get it. Dude, okay, so a lot of people who have ADHD aren't aware that people know when they're just fucking asking a question as an excuse for them to say something about that topic, or that it's also obvious when they're not listening to what you're saying and they're just waiting for their turn to speak. So I think I became more aware in that, and I don't do it as often. I try to be like an active listener just because I know how it feels to like be fucking yapping and then none of it being absorbed, especially when it's important. So I hate when that shit happens to me. I try not to make it happen to others. And it's also just really unproductive. Like, it's not productive for a conversation, and it's kind of rude to just be like, yeah, like, it's literally going one ear out the other just so it's like, oh, it's finally my turn to talk. But this shit is so fucking funny because I have a friend who's not diagnosed, but I fucking know he has it, dude. And he does this so fucking much that it's become like a little joke between like our friends. It's like, okay, were you listening? Okay, so an example would be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go shoot video over here, and then you can go cover that side, and then we'll meet back up later and we'll see what we got. And then they're gonna respond with like, that's awesome. So anyways, I'm gonna go shoot video over there, and then you can shoot over there. Like, it's like super obvious they weren't listening. Literally, when we're having a conversation and it's something that I'm interested or invested in, I do not want to be rude and just interrupt. But there are times where you do have to interrupt and cut people off. But when you do that, try to be like, sorry, hold on, I just gotta say this, or like, sorry to cut you off. And then, when you're done with your point, make sure you remember where they left off and try to help them get back to it. Because at least if you're going to interrupt, at least be courteous enough to try and bring it back to what they were saying, so it doesn't feel like you didn't give a shit about what they were saying. Like, it feels like a chest burster from Alien is trying to break through when this happens. It's like, okay, they're talking about something I really like, or they mention like a keyword, and then my brain just goes off, and I'm like, I hear people talking, or like they're talking to me, and it's just like static for a bit because it's like small talk, and then all of a sudden fucking a buzzword is mentioned, like, oh, blah, 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 analog horror. I'm just like, I tune in, I'm locked in, I'm there, and I'm like ready to fucking say shit, I'm trying to hold it back just so I can listen to what they're saying and then, find the appropriate time to respond. But that, I'm saying right now, it takes a while to learn that. And a big thing about having ADHD is awareness, because a lot of the time you've been doing this your whole life, and social norms and rules, especially unspoken rules, don't really make sense. So you kind of just be like doing your own shit anyways. And it takes a long time and a lot of introspection for you to finally realize, like, maybe I should listen. This is going back to what I was saying earlier. I like this activity. And then the brain, yep. And I want to do this activity, yep. So I should be able to do this activity and have fun. Makes sense to me. Do task. No, this shit is annoying, bro. Like, I'm at work and I'm just thinking about like, oh dude, when I get home, I'm gonna write scripts for these videos. I'm gonna be editing. I'm gonna go play some games. I'm fucking brainstorm shit. I'm gonna work on my business. And I'm like, I enjoy doing all of that. I really do. But this barrier is always there. It's like when you're on the stimulants, it's a little easier to get over this barrier. But since I'm no longer on stimulants, it's like half as hard as it would be if I was on nothing. So I gotta just like force myself to start shit. It's weird saying force because again, these are things I enjoy doing, but it still feels like I gotta drag myself over to start. And it's weird because before all that happens, you're just like, oh, I don't want to fucking do it. Don't make me start. I'm not gonna start. Even though you really do want to do it. Once you start, the problem is stopping. That's where the hyperfocus comes in. Like, people always talk about attention deficit part. Like, oh, they're not paying attention. Oh, they're lazy. Like, blah, blah, blah. They're all over the place. But people don't really mention, like, the hyperfocus. Because you're basically, like, both ends of the spectrum. You're, like, either not there at all or you're just super locked in. I think that's the part too, like when you're hyper focused on something, that's the part that makes you forget to eat, even forget you're hungry, until your body is like screaming at you to go do something about it. Like when I just stay working for hours straight on like a video project or like gaming, I would just not eat. And I would only get up to go eat when I'd get like a really bad headache. So I know I gotta go eat. I don't know how many years it took, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should start eating or like trying to remember when I should eat. But yeah, so my mom, whenever that would happen, she'd just be like, oh, you have a headache again? See, it's because of that computer, the screen, the game. Yeah. Glad I'm not the only one. This is why I have so many unfinished projects. And yeah, I honestly ask anyone with ADHD how many projects they don't have finished. And if they say 0, they're either lying or they have achieved nirvana. Oh, that's another thing. Autism and ADHD share a lot of traits. I thought I had both, but luckily I only have ADHD. See, look, autism, ADHD, constantly over-explaining and adding extra detail to avoid being misunderstood. I feel like I have to do that a lot more with other neurodivergents, mostly like autistic people, because like when I'm being sarcastic or like I'm trying to imply something without saying it, that's usually where things get lost in translation. Sometimes I gotta do that too. Like I noticed I say way too much for like a short story sometimes, like when I'm telling people stuff. That problem translates over to some of the scripts I'd be doing, and that's why when I reach like the second draft, it gets trimmed down by so much. Cause I just be talking, dude. Professional yapper. I'm super quiet, and I look like really standoffish when we're not cool or like we're not close. So at work, I think I'm just starting to be cool enough with some people to where I'm like showing a little more of how I actually am. For the most part, most of the coworkers there and like most of the time I was there, I just be keeping to myself. And I remember I was a bit surprised when one of the coworkers he's an older dude. He was like describing me as like soft spoken, and I was like, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever been described as soft spoken, but I think at this point in my life, like this arc and a little bit of the previous arc, I've been toning it down way more, especially if I know it's like stuff that I feel like I shouldn't have to share or don't want to share with people that it's probably not going to matter with anyways, or like there's no point to getting that deep into it with people that won't be there. So in a way, it was kind of just like, it's kind of like gatekeeping, but my personality. Yeah, that's basically it. Because I had like a lot of friends in the past, and I noticed there was like a pattern of me either expecting too much or giving too much and expecting them to reciprocate. I'd slowly lower the standards for that shit, but I'm oversharing. Fuck that shit. Versus hating when someone over-explains something to you that you understood the entire context about 5 words into the sentence and it's taking forever to fucking explain it. Yeah, that shit actually irritates me. And I think that's like when I usually start to interrupt. But then again, you know, I'm starting to learn like sometimes I let people finish even if I do know, just because it feels really like deflating to just get cut off like that. Like, oh yeah, you don't know about this? Let me just go off on this fucking. It could be their special interest, and then you're just like, stop. I already know. All right, and then they're just like, fuck it, I guess. I don't want to talk about it anyway. But another thing I would do that I'd probably like I try to work on as well is like if someone's over explaining and it's something I know about but they're getting it wrong, that's like when it's hard for me to just like not intervene. I'm just like, hold up, and then it's like fucking fact checked by me or something. The best part is when you made sure you could not possibly misunderstand what you said and they misunderstand. Yeah. Sometimes it baffles me too. I'm just like, holy shit, dude. Like, are you stupid? Because, like, I go out of my way to make sure it is clear. But sometimes I guess it's a little too clear or something. Or, like, I'm just like, dude. Is not being able to wear thongs an ADHD thing? I never considered that. Okay, this one, I give this one credit. I've never heard of this ever. Someone said not wanting a string of noodle between your buttocks as to be a sign of neurodivergence. I'm serious. I mean, it's just probably uncomfortable, really. When you think about the way your hand touched paper yesterday. Okay, this brings me to another topic about sensitivity to certain sensations. Like for me, bro, I get bothered by fucking loud noises, certain textures. I have a really sensitive nose. So it's really bad. It's to the point where, yeah, like I get really fucking angry. So back home, car culture is like a big thing. And this is a small island, like you're not really gonna be able to go anywhere where you're not gonna hear like some loud ass car at any point during the day or night. And that shit is so loud and obnoxious. Like I be in my fucking room and I hear that shit.
Does it go louder? Oh yeah, it definitely go louder.
Yeah! Or even the fucking, like, I lived near a base, like a military base for the Air Force. When cars like that drove by, or fucking, they were doing drills with, like, the jets or something, and all you can hear was, like, the sonic boom or something penetrating the walls of my house. I'm like, it was a ridiculous amount of anger for something like a noise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you guys can relate, but... that happens like to certain sounds, and like especially when it's loud. At the same time, you know, like if it's the right loud sound, like a concert or some shit, I don't mind. For textures, the one I can think of like right away is like touching food that's been in the sink with your bare hands when you're washing dishes. It is disgusting. Like it feels like a sensation goes from my finger all the way up to my brain, telling me, why did you do that? Because it is, I don't know, it just does not feel right, man. I can't even describe it. And then the sense of smell thing, that is another thing that really pisses me off. Like the texture thing, it just weirds me out and it's kind of gross. But the sound and the smell thing, it makes me mad. I don't even know why. Like it's just uncontrollable anger. Not in the sense where I can't control myself, but like I can't control the fact that it makes me mad. Like I used to have dogs back in Guam, and I have to pick up dog shit. Like I thought it was crazy because like anyone else I knew that owned dogs, they didn't talk about it as much as I did or like sound as annoyed. Even though I'm pretty sure nobody fucking likes dog shit. Nobody like smelling like dog shit. But that shit set me off, bro. You know that they make candles with like relaxing scents? That shit is like a disgusting angry scent to me. Like it's almost like, how dare you enter my nose with that stench? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it feels like. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in there? Okay, this is the last one we're probably gonna do, and this one fucking hits hard, okay? Me when I get the slightest hint of negative feedback from a loved one. It's just like, look at me, I'm the captain now. But RSD, do you know what RSD is? That is fucking rejection sensitivity disorder. Is it disorder? Okay, that's RSD, and that is rejection sensitivity dysphoria. And you know what? I'm just going to take this definition straight from here. So this is when you experience severe emotional pain because of a failure or feeling rejected. The condition is linked to ADHD, and experts suspect it happens due to differences in brain structure. Those differences mean your brain can't regulate rejection-related emotions and behaviors, making them much more intense. And by the way, dysphoria means strong or overwhelming. That is one of the fucking game changers I found out about when I was looking at like things that might indicate you have ADHD or like things people with ADHD go through. I was always wondering why it was hard for me to take criticism or like even constructive criticism, because it just felt like all of it was like an attack, you know? I'm at a place now where I can take that stuff, but even if it's constructive and all that, it still lingers with me. I'm like, either I get like defensive about it or I fucking start feeling down and blaming myself. I'm like, dude, I'm a piece of shit, bro. I can't believe I fucked that up. And that's another thing that I feel like people don't really see or get with people that have ADHD. A lot of the times we're really hard on ourselves, even though it might not look like it on the surface. So if we fuck up, like, please do not add extra baggage to that, because I guarantee you we're already beating ourselves up for it. But yeah, the whole rejection sensitivity thing, it's really fucked me over from a lot of opportunities just because I was scared I'd get rejected and like what that would do to my ego or whatever. But it's also like really made like relationships hard, mostly like ending relationships, or no, I guess just relationships in general, whether it be like rejections from you want to start one with or just being the one that gets broken up with. It's crazy. It's really intense. I don't know how it feels for like neurotypicals and all that. And I know it hurts for everyone, but dude, it is really fucking intense. Like,
I am processing the most triggering breakup I've had.
The darkest times in my life were always like linked to some sort of feeling of rejection or failure, and that shit was really hard. And the worst part about it, after reading like a bit of this comment, is I think that feeds into like my people pleaser tendencies. Because deep down in my head, there's like some things where I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. It's like, fuck you. Like, why am I gonna appease you or like do this thing to make you feel okay when it's like at the cost of my comfort, my fucking sanity, or whatever, you know? But then I end up doing shit like that anyways, because I'm like, oh, like, I don't want them to like hate me or whatever. And it's so annoying. Like, thank God I've been making progress on that shit, because like people would just take advantage of that, really. Like, even though they don't know it, they would. Like, it's just, people just get so used to you being like that, they forget that, is this the right way to put it? Like, they forget you're like a person too, and they start treating you like whatever it is you're good for to them, you know? Like, whether that's someone they just fucking trauma dump to all the time. Being a people pleaser is not good for your mental health, because it just leads to exhaustion and being taken advantage of. That's me talking from experience. And this person says it really well, so I'm going to read the comment. It says, I hate this about me. Being a people pleaser sucks. And what's worse is the only time I can actually advocate is when I'm doing it on behalf of someone else. Like, I can easily send back food at a restaurant on behalf of my friend, but I just can't do it for myself. I can easily go back and ask for extra ketchup if it's for somebody else, but if it's just me, to just accept the fact that I won't have ketchup. The second someone else asks for help, or even to blatantly cheat off my work, I have no issue letting them, but as soon as I need help, I feel bad inconveniencing them with it. Like, there's a constant need to not be a burden to those around me, because I constantly feel like I annoy everyone around me, so unless I make myself useful, they will abandon me. Anyone relate? Yeah. Basically, like, I don't have the same problem with not being able to advocate for myself. I can do that just fine. But I noticed, yeah, like, I'll definitely jump in sooner. It's for someone else's expense, especially if it's like a close person to me. And it was way worse back in the day, but I really do feel that with feeling like an inconvenience when I ask for help versus me offering my help. And then there's also like the whole I have to feel like I'm useful or people will abandon me. And I've had that issue for a long time, but now that like I have like a really small circle of friends and like I'm really okay with being by myself, I don't have that much of a problem with that. But I notice when like there's a new friendship I want to make or like maintain or continue, some of that tendency will still show up to where it'd be like, I kind of overextend myself sometimes, even though I shouldn't. I'm like, oh, you need help with this? Yeah, dude, I can help you out, even though I got like fucking shit to do at home. Speaking of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, If you want to save me from that, like and subscribe on this video. Thanks. See you next time.